something I like to say is you do not need to track your calories. Your body has this built in, and it's called an appetite. But there is one big caveat to this, and it's that you are eating real unprocessed foods. Because if you go by this while eating processed junk, you're addicted to food. If you eat processed foods, naturally you're going to be addicted to foods, and quite often people think they're hungry, but really they're not. They're just addicted to the food. It's their brain telling them that it wants food, but those people don't realize that they actually don't need to eat right there and then. They're essentially addicted to the food. And it should come really as no surprise considering how much ingredients and how many things are put into these foods, modern foods nowadays, such as McDonald's, and even things like breads have loads of ingredients. And as far as I'm concerned, Coca-Cola has salt or forms of sodium added in to make you thirsty, so you want to continue drinking it. And I have been going to the gym and I have been training for a few years now. And just a few months ago, so over really the winter time of 2023, I kind of neglected my physique. And it all combines with this whole story of me neglecting my natural abilities and doing something that, looking back, I shouldn't have done. I was running a lead generation agency, just offering generic lead services. And I was spending my days just holed up in my room, cold calling people. So I did still go to the gym because I've been consistent with the gym my whole life. But I would go outside in the morning, so this would be either a walk with my dog on rest days or going to the gym. And then, like I said, I'd be holed up inside my room for the rest of the day, essentially. I'd come home and I would either read or run ads for my clients or review my sales calls, and then just stand or sit when I was taking sales calls, but I would try and stand as much as possible because I already hated being so inert and just being in here. And I just knew it wasn't me. I've always been active my whole life, yet those few months, I just didn't feel the best. I didn't feel myself. And fast forward to now, potentially I will throw up a few videos because I took a few recently. I was training inside and I'm really quite happy with my physique now. I've managed to return to the way, or how lean I was a little while back. And really it put a smile on my face. And today, in this video, I will walk you through how I did that, how I got back to being lean, and how you can stay lean. Now this video will mostly revolve around staying lean, counting and cutting your calories, like really just strictly counting your calories and really cutting them down. In the long term, well, in the short term, yes, you can lose weight, obviously, of course. If you burn more than you eat, calorie-wise, you're gonna lose fat. But realistically, long term, that can be very, let's just say, not so sufficient, because that can mess with your metabolism. And really, it's best to take a different approach, I believe. And I will walk you through the approach I took. Now, by no means am I saying, you have to do this, do what you want. I'm just gonna walk you through what I did and what I know has worked for many, many people that manage to stay lean all year round, because that's something I believe in. Personally, I don't cut and bulk winter and summer. I like to stay lean all year round because I believe in functionality and feeling and looking good all year round. Because if you decide to eat loads to look big, while compromising the rest of your life and your health, well, what's the point in that? Isn't the whole point in fitness to look and feel good and operate well? And look, I love the gym, and I respect everyone who goes to the gym, but there's just some gym bros who unfortunately take a wrong approach, and I don't blame them, because I used to drink protein shakes with loads of tons of ingredients, highly processed, no wonder my skin was terrible, and eat anything just because, you know, protein, right? But in this video, I will walk you through what I did to lean back down, and focusing on how to stay lean and first of all get there. But bodybuilding itself is something potentially I could go through in another video. So if so, let me know if that's something you want to go through or you want me to go through. So the number one thing I did was I consumed my meals in a condensed feeding window. So I would eat in a condensed feeding window. What does this mean? This means essentially you condense your feeding window, which means you just eat between, for example, 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. or 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. And what this does is it means your body is in a prolonged catabolic state, okay? So I've got loads of notes here in my Notion, and I can go through some of them. But essentially, your body has two metabolic states, catabolic and anabolic. So during the catabolic phase, that is when your body is breaking down molecules, okay? So your body is breaking down complex molecules into simpler ones. And really, this is mainly for, you know, releasing energy, because this involves just breaking down carbohydrates and fats and proteins, okay? So your body is breaking down molecules to actually use them for energy, right? Anabolic, however, is when your body is doing quite the opposite, okay? So it's either building molecules or it's storing them as fat, okay? So as I have here, it is the building of complex molecules from simpler ones. And really it involves the synthesis of new molecules and the storage of energy for future use. So that's both building blocks, so building muscle, and it's also storing fat, okay? And says here, processes include the synthesis of proteins, the formation of new cells, and the storage of energy in the form of glycogen or fat, right? So essentially, if you stay in a catabolic state for longer, you are burning fat for longer, okay? So you can still eat the same amount of foods, but you can condense your feeding window, okay? So simple way to put this or call this is intermittent fasting. Now, I'm not saying this is something you have to do for the rest of your life, although you can. I personally, at the moment, fast until around 10 a.m. every day, and then I go and eat, and then I eat last at 8 p.m. So I don't eat past 8 p.m. And this means that my body is in a fasted state until I eat at 10 a.m. the next day. So I'm fasted for 14 hours because I eat last at 8 p.m. 2 hours later, I go to bed, sleep for 8, which is together 10 hours. And then upon waking, I don't eat for around 4 hours. So that's 14 hours in a fasted state. So I would recommend staying in a fasted state for around 12 to 16 hours at the push. 12 to 14 is a good amount. You can do 16 if you really like to. And whenever you do eat breakfast, I highly recommend a high protein, high fat breakfast rather than loading up on carbs and sugar early on in the day, because that's how you end up feeling lethargic, and you end up, for example, if you work at a desk, you're gonna feel tired, you're gonna take a hit, right? Whereas if you eat protein, you're going to stay fuller for longer and you're not really going to feel that hit. So to summarize that part, you prolong the amount of time your body is in a catabolic state simply by just condensing your feeding window. So you're leaving some time after you wake up until you eat, because personally, during that time, the winter time, I would wake up and eat early on in the day. And even sooner than that, I used to eat things like granola, full of sugar and carbs for breakfast. Now I like to eat eggs primarily. And really this is how, by utilizing this properly, you can both burn fat and build muscle at the same time. No need to bulk, okay? And here I have spending most of your time in a catabolic state means you have lower insulin, lower body fat, higher growth hormone, so increased testosterone, cellular regeneration, anti-aging hormone secretion. Yes, fasting promotes anti-aging, and increased adrenaline. And not only that, but you also save time preparing food rather than making a meal early on in the day and then maybe again for lunch. You just make one good breakfast, for example, and then don't eat until later on. Although I will speak of or about meals quite soon, and the way you should actually structure your meals. Number 2, cut out all unprocessed foods, okay? Count calories, not. Count your ingredients instead of your calories. And I keep saying I'll say mine, this is what I did. Of course, do what you like. Although, truly, I will pull up a tweet and it says that convincing the world to count calories instead of ingredients is one of the biggest and most profitable schemes in history. It's a huge facade. And truthfully, it's what really causes most of today's diseases like Alzheimer's, cancer, obesity, all these things. I mean, people say that, our life expectancy is at the highest it's ever been, and supposedly so, but what else is at the highest it's ever been? Well, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, all other diseases just like this. And why? Well, take McDonald's chips, for example, okay? Fries. I don't need to tell you about the fries themselves, but something that's gonna shock you is the salt in the fries. Somehow the salt itself has 3 ingredients. Can you believe that? And for this reason, people believe salt is bad for you, when truthfully, salt, when you have the correct kind of salt, has many, many crucial minerals, okay? Many people are dehydrated in today's world, and it's not because they are not drinking enough water, it is because they are deprived of the important minerals we need. Your body cannot absorb the water and cannot be hydrated properly without the necessary minerals. And salt has many beneficial minerals, okay? In particular, sea salt or pink Himalayan salt is great, although processed salts, like the one in McDonald's fries, has sodium, so salt. It has glucose, sugar, somehow, a sweetener, supposedly. And then it also has a heavy metal in it, so I think it's aluminium, which is just kind of ridiculous. So I would recommend counting ingredients, and whenever you want to buy something, you look at the ingredients list on the back rather than how many calories it has, because your body burns different foods and calories from different foods differently, okay? It's completely different when you run 500 meters uphill than 500 meters downhill. Just like eating 500 calories of steak and orange juice and just fruit in general is vastly different to eating 500 calories of fries and chips and ice cream, right? Vastly, vastly, vastly different. You can get so many more nutrients in from eating good and proper foods, obviously, rather than eating processed foods. But the whole point here is that those foods like steak and fruit and good cheeses and things like this, those things are so much more bioavailable. What does bioavailable mean? It means the rate at which your body absorbs the nutrients from that food. So processed foods, even if you buy a protein bar that has only 90 calories, so what if it has 30 ingredients? The protein in there and all the nutrients that are supposedly in there aren't even super bioavailable. Your body's not going to absorb them properly. So try to focus on ingredients over calories. Third thing I did, I cut out all seed oils, okay? Vegetable oils. So canola oil, sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, all oils like this, because the crazy thing is the process these oils go through to be bottled for you to use is just mind-blowing. You don't even want to know. It goes through a bleaching process and it's just ridiculous. Now, there is also margarine, okay? Margarine is butter and seed oils, which is just ridiculous. You may as well just stick to the real thing and have actual butter. But people are scared of saturated fats nowadays. And this is a huge misconception that we've been led to believe. Vegetable oils were actually used in the war for lubrication, for cars in the military. And then when the war ended, the Second War, they thought, well, what can we do with this? We can sell it to people and tell them it's good food. It's not. Those seed oils form trans fatty acids, okay, or they are trans fatty acids, and they form literally an extra layer of fat in your body because your body does not recognize these fats. These are not standard fats like omega-3s, which your body just accepts and recognizes. Your body does not recognize these trans fatty acids because they are processed, they're unnatural. And your body actually separates them and forms an extra layer of fat in your body, okay? And I just love taking notes on these topics, which is why I have a whole Notion full of notes on all this stuff. And we actually need fat, okay? People are scared of saturated fat, but I use purely ghee and tallow and butter and lard and sometimes coconut oil and sometimes olive oil for our cooking. And I have a relatively lean physique, as you saw earlier. We don't use seed oils anymore, and I'm super glad. Why do you need fat? Well, brain function. Your brain is made up of like 60% fat. Your brain needs fat, okay? Omega-3s, for example, they play a critical role in brain function. To burn body fat, yes. Good fats help you burn body fats, okay? Certain types of fat, such as conjugated linoleic acid, which is CLA for short, which are found in grass-fed cows and butter, can actually help you burn fat. Crazy for most people. For steady energy, fat is excellent for energy, right? The crazy thing is, by eating more fat, you're not doing yourself harm. You're actually helping yourself because you stay fuller for longer and snack less. You eat less terrible processed snacks, okay? Fat is the most concentrated source of energy and gives you steady energy throughout the day and helps you keep your blood sugar levels stable, okay? 4, to absorb certain vitamins, okay? Vitamins A, D, and K are carotenoids, okay? What does this mean? They are all fat soluble, which means you actually need to consume fat for their consumption. And then fifth thing, body fat is needed for cushioning for the organs. Okay, it's essential. Now, this does not mean eat tons of food so you are fat. It just means naturally we require some fat. Okay, it's almost impossible to be like 1 or 2% fat. Naturally, a good place to be for men is 8 to 12%, and for women, slightly higher. I think between maybe 18 to 24. And this is just because naturally women store slightly more fat because of the organs they have. So, for example, if they have a baby, of course, they need slightly more fat for the protection of that baby, and just the organs they have around that area, which as men do not. Fourth thing I did to cut down, I spaced out all my meals, okay? Instead of snacking all the time. Now, some people might say, intermittent fasting is bad for you for some reason, but what harm am I doing to myself by simply not eating past 8 p.m. so that I give my body a couple hours to rest and digest the food, so I don't go to bed then digesting the food, and then not snacking throughout the night, and then just not eating as soon as I get up? How can that possibly be harmful? And the incredible thing is that back in ancient Rome, it was the slaves who were fed constantly and all the time, and the warriors who stayed hungry. The warriors ate good meals, as opposed to the prisoners. I'm sure they didn't exactly eat incredible meals. Maybe, who knows? But the warriors eat better meals and space those meals out, okay? In between the meals, they're hungry. That's how they operate properly, how they fight properly, okay? Our ancestors, they used to hunt for their foods, and they'd be hungry. It was that hunger that would drive them. Now, I'm not saying you should be hungry throughout your day, because truthfully, are you really going to be hungry by just spacing your meals out a few hours? Are you going to be starving? Personally, no, I do just fine. It just means don't snack all the time, don't eat all the time, because like I said, it was the prisoners in ancient Rome who were being fed all the time, because that's how you stay complacent and lazy and comfortable, by eating and snacking all the time, okay? Personally, I like to eat a good meal and then don't eat for the next few hours until the next meal, okay? Let your body digest that food. And before bed, you don't eat around 2 or 3 hours, I don't, before bed, to let my body digest the food before going to bed. Also, something extra, it's great around meals to go for a walk, okay? Because this aids with digestion. Fifth thing I did, and these things should go without saying, but often they're neglected. Prioritizing a healthy lifestyle, okay? So adequate amounts of sleep, minimal stress, loads of exercise, okay? Back then, like I said, I would maybe, walk to the gym and back, or go for a walk, and then I would just be inside for the rest of the day, okay? I'm sure I was also far more stressed because I was doing something I hated. I was on strict deadlines to just, do 500 cold calls and close X thousand amount of dollars. And like I said, I wasn't moving enough. What have I changed since then? Now I go for walks throughout the day regularly. So I go for one in the morning, one around, midday, and then I walk to the gym later on. So I've gone back to going to the gym in the evening. Another thing, like I said, stress. And then also back then I was sleeping much less. Now I make sure to get a good 7.5 hours of sleep. Why do I say 7.5 and not 8? Well, because our body operates in 90-minute cycles called the ultradian rhythm. And if you wake halfway through a 90-minute cycle, you can actually feel more tired than just sleeping a full solid 6 hours, for example, which is obviously made up of 4 90-minute cycles, okay? So 4 times 1.5 hours. And by the way, this does not mean 6 hours in bed, it means 6 hours of full sleep, Okay, so there's a slight difference. And that's all. Those are the 5 things. It really should go without saying, that last thing, because things like stress, people don't know this, but stress actually just, it messes with all the rest of your body, right? Your gut controls much of your body, and if you're stressed, you're gonna feel a detrimental effect and experience detrimental effects in all the rest of your body, okay? I won't go into it too much because I've already loaded you with loads of things regarding actually staying lean. Stress is a whole nother thing, but try and minimize stress, okay? There are good types of stress, which is called eustress, which is naturally the stress you experience whenever you're faced with a challenging decision or anything like that, which actually helps you because it increases your focus. For example, in the days of hunting, our ancestors would feel stress when faced with a predator, and that helps them focus and even, run faster, fight or flight. But remove bad stress, okay? There's no need to feel stressed all the time. And this can be done by going out, taking more walks, going into nature, speaking to good people, and just not doing things like I did back a few months ago where I was running myself into the ground. Okay. That's all. I hope you take action. I hope you consider some of these. I hope you find them valuable. And I hope you can lean down and operate at your best and look your best and feel your best. Be mega.